Today's going to be a little bit different. We are going to be tackling a rather pesky problem on this Cadillac XLR. It's got an issue where the fuel door, the actual fuel door itself, once you release it, you can't close it. It's something sticking in the solenoid or latch. And it's a pretty simple fix, and it shouldn't take me very long, so hopefully I can show you how to do this without spending a bunch of money. So I'm going to demonstrate the issue this car has. It is an intermittent issue, so we're going to see how it works. So as you can see, that works great. Here is the little plunger, and it seems to be working okay right now. That's what closes that. And as you can see, now it is stuck. Normally it sticks out, and in this case, it's stuck. So this has nothing to latch up against. So we're going to take the wheel off, take the inner fender out, get into the trunk, and hopefully we can get this thing fixed. So next we're going to remove the inner fender. It's just a series of 7mm bolts, and then there's a couple clips on the back bumper that the centers kind of pry out of. It's just pretty simple. All right, got all the bolts out. Oops. One. There's two. Okay, now the inner fender should come out. Probably need a little massaging, but alright. So here is where the cable goes into the fuel filler door area. So I peeled this boot back here. Let's see if I can get it off again. And it doesn't really show any. The solenoid is located further back in the trunk, and we're going to go to where the cable goes into the solenoid next. So now that we've got the trunk open, the solenoid for this that we're getting to is right back here. So to get to this, we're going to remove this cover for this stand, and then we're going to pull this clip out here. It's just a regular Christmas tree clip. So first we're going to take this out. It's just one T15. And it just pops apart. Just be gentle. And next we're going to get this Christmas tree clip out. So there's actually one more of those Christmas tree clips right here. It's going to be kind of hard to see in the video, but we're going to get that out so we can get this carpet all the way out of the way. So now that we've got this carpet pulled back, I can show you where the bolt is for the solenoid. It's actually hiding right there. It's a single 10mm. We're going to go ahead and take that out right now. All right, pull this all out. That's much better. So I don't know if you can see. Here, let me zoom in. This is the solenoid right here. And it has a little foot that sits in a hole that is going to be the hardest part of all this. We're going to have to get this out of here. Next, we're going to slide the emergency release. Let me put a light on it so you can see what I'm talking about. Slide this through the carpet. It's like a little slot cut for it. You just kind of push that through. And we'll take this out of the way just so we have a little more access here. Apparently it's a pretty common issue. All right. So then we have to slide that through there. All right. So that's out of the way now. And then there's a 7 that holds this emergency release in the way. We're going to kind of get that out of the way next. Careful not to drop this one. Alright, so next we're going to take out this 15mm nut. It holds this. As you can see, it kind of popped back out during me messing with the rest of this system here. So here's the actual solenoid itself. As you can see, we've already gotten the 10 out of it. Now it's just a matter of getting it out of its location. It has this little foot that kind of locks it into this bracket and aligns it, probably for assembly purposes, but it's a little bit of a fight to get this out. So we're going to kind of, hopefully we can get this out without doing any damage to anything, but they are really tied in here. Alright, so I seem to have gotten it wedged. We haven't decided if that's good or not. It's coming. Alright. The reason we loosen these cables up is so that we could have some extra slack to get this out far enough. We don't really need to take this all the way out. We just need to get this out far enough to where we can look at it and check it. Alright, so there's the actual solenoid for the fuel door. That was kind of a bear for as insignificant of a part as this is. You can see here's the emergency release. It pulls on this, so next we're going to try to pop the cable off of this very carefully. It's got these 2 little clips. This is going to be a ton of fun, I can already tell. Alright. There we go. I can tell there's still some spring tension here, and that's what pulls it open. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray some lubricant down this hole and lubricate the cable inside the sheathing. And we're going to pretty much just clean everything and lubricate everything, and then put it back together and test it and make sure that it is fixed. And if that doesn't fix it, we'll move forward. Alright, before we go any further, we are going to go into the trunk and take a look at the cable that goes that has the actual plunger for it for the fuel door release. And we're going to take that apart because there's a spring inside that has a tendency to lose tension or break. So here's the plunger end. As you can see, it is sticking out and working correctly. There is a spring inside of here which we're going to take apart and take a look to see how what it looks like and the condition. It has these 2 tabs that we're going to have to push out and hopefully not break anything in the process. Alright, there's that spring, and it actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, that's actually in really good shape. So we don't really need to do anything on this end. We're going to just lubricate from this end and lubricate from the other end, and that should hopefully fix this issue. Now that we've got everything taken apart, it's time to lubricate the solenoid and the cable. To do this, I'm using this PB Blaster chain and cable lubricant. My thought process behind this is that bicycle cables are not that dissimilar to the cable that pulls the fuel door release open, so this should work just fine. I would caution against using WD-40. It's not really a lubricant, and I feel like that'll do more harm than good. Anyway, let's get the spray in. So first we're going to take this cable out of here, pull this out a little bit, and spray in there. I move this back and forth a few times. Make that nice and... So this stuff is actually called Blaster. I have no idea if it's any affiliation to PB Blaster, but we're going to peel this back. We're just going to work it back and forth and spray both sides. Now we can put this plunger cap back on. It only fits on one way. Okay, so now that this cap's back on, you can see it springs back. I believe most of the problem happens on this side. The part of the cable that rides inside the cylinder right here, if it's not just right, it kind of gets bound up, but it seems to be operating pretty smoothly now. So now we're going to start putting the inside back together. Alright, so this is the fun part. We needed to get this cable back in where it needs to go. I'm going to kind of push this back here, and then slide this lock down. Alright, so now You can see, I don't know if you can see that. Here, let me move that in a better vantage point. Now that this cable is back on the solenoid, we need to perform some feat of magic to get this back in, because I'm pretty sure that's what it took to get it out. We're going to kind of pull on the release, get that out of the way a little more. Rotate it. And like I said before, it has this foot right here. That foot lines up with this hole right here, and then this hole right here is for the bolt that holds the solenoid in place. So now we need to wedge this. Okay, that made a sound. I wonder if that sound is good. So we're trying to get the bolt hole to line up with this hole right here, and that's the hole that the metal foot, which I've admittedly is kind of bent backwards, which we will bend back out. Take the bolt. Can't get her started. So it's time to start putting everything back together. We're going to make sure that we have this out, and we're going to find that 7mm just right here. Okay, so now we're going to kind of fish this carpet back how it's supposed to go. Now we'll get the clips in. All right, now we need to pull the emergency cables through. Come on. Do it. All right, so that's good. Okay, so yeah, that has been apart before, and that does not fit very good. But we're going to put this cover back to the other side. This just snaps together, and then it's held in place with one T15. All right. All right, so the trunk is basically back together. Now it's time to put this into the fuel door area. All right, let's see if that retracts. Look at that. All right, one more time. One more time. Okay, one more time. Fixed. All right, now it's time to put the inner fender back in. Just gonna kind of get up close. And finally, let's get the wheel back on. And the most important step. I hope that helps. This is a really common problem on these cars. I don't know why the XLRs have this problem, but it is a really simple solution. I did not show how to replace the spring. Apparently there are situations where that spring will get rusty, lose its tension, and you have to replace it. It's something that you can buy at the hardware store, which is really nice. I think it's just a couple bucks at the most. This process is not very difficult. It is not that time consuming, but you do have to take your time. Do not force anything apart or together with the interior. These cars are not very forgiving, and when you go to buy replacement parts, as if you don't already know, the parts are not priced like regular Cadillac parts. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe for other weird videos on cars, and I'll talk to you later.